Good evening, everybody. I have here in front of me our Excel data analysis quiz. Basically, what we provided you is a company that sells a bunch of, products to restaurants, B2B, which is business to business, as you can see. And your CFO has asked you to perform some kind of data analysis or quantitative analysis. And basically what he's provided you is a revenue listing with all this detail, which if I go to the revenue tab, you'll see, so if you look at the bottom left of the screen, you'll see that there's two tabs. There's a data map and the revenue tab. So in the revenue tab, you have 500 invoices, and if I do Control Shift up, you can see there's a count of 500, and the revenue from all of this, you can highlight that as well, and you can see that it is $2,627,400. So 500 transactions or invoices, and at a total of $2,627,400. And what this tells us is in the first year, these are all of our quarter sales. You can see that it's quarters 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can put a filter on this, and you'll see that there are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So those are all the quarters of the year. So all this data that we have here is, for the entire year. It looks like they have customer numbers. So there are 8 companies, as you can see. There are 5 locations, and they're all in number format, which isn't unusual. Some systems at companies might be a little outdated, or just for ease, they give things numbers. So customers will give a number for different locations. They might give them a number, even for products. Obviously, they wouldn't be labeled 1 through 6. They might have like a 6-digit unique combination for every product that they sell. And if you've ever seen the sales invoice, you actually might know what I'm talking about. So this is all the data for the year, like I said, all of our sales data. And we want to do some quant analysis on it based on some questions that you have to do for a quiz. And I want to show you some very easy, useful tools that can get you answers in seconds. So first of all, I hate the way the format of this data is. I don't like seeing numbers. I'd rather see names. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys how to do VLookups. And VLookups are one of the most useful tools, especially in my job. I get companies send me data all the time, and I have to figure out how to sort through it and use that for my testing at work. So VLookups are something that I do use every day, and I love that I can show you guys how to use it, and hopefully sometime along in your career you'll use it as well. So the first thing I want to do is insert. Actually, I'm going to take my filters off first for you guys. But insert a column. So you can right click, you can insert, and it'll insert a column. And the formula is called VLookup again. So all you do is you type equals VLookup, and then you open up the parenthesis. Oh, I don't know why I have multiple. Sorry guys, excuse my typing. So equals VLookup with an open parenthesis. You want to hit the cell to the left, because this is the lookup value. We want to look up 5, and I'm going to go hit comma. I'm going to go to the data map tab, and we're doing companies, right? So I know that over here we have companies 1 through 8, and right now we have a unique ID of 1 through 8 for our detail of companies. So if I highlight this area, and you want to make it relative, so I hit F4. See, these dollar signs exist now, so that box will never move if I drag that formula right, left, down, up, doesn't matter. It will always be C8 through D15, which you might remember from the previous videos that you've watched. Hit comma, and it says column index number. So we're looking up B2 in our revenue tab, which was if you remember, a number 1 through 8. So we're looking that up in this table. So we want to find, the first one was a 1, right? So we want to find one, or have Excel find one in this table, and then provide us the company name. So the company name is column 2. So we do comma 2, and then comma, and then just put false, and hit enter. You'll see that it recognized customer 5 was Ted Tacos. And if you look back at the data map, Ted's Tacos is number 5. So just to let you know, for VLookups, whenever you're looking up anything, so whether it's 5 here or 5 in the customer location, it always has to be the far left cell that you're starting with. So if I put, a bunch of other columns in here, I could do the same thing. So obviously, see, it's nulling this answer now, so I can change this if I did equals VLookup. And I'm looking up 5 again. I go back in the data map. I start here because this is the furthest left that I want to look up. And you can, if I had stuff in column 2, I could look up that, column 3, column 4, so on and so forth. Now our data is in column 8, so I'm going to hit F4, comma 8, because there's 8 columns, right? And the data I want to bring over, or identify based on these IDs, these references, is in the 8th column. So that's why I put in 8 and false, and it'll give me the same results, Ted Tacos. So I'm going to delete these out because I don't need them, and then we're going to do it one more time. So obviously there's an error now because I deleted it, and you can see that this is 8, right? So I'm just going to redo this formula. Equals VLookup 5, so V2 comma, go and highlight this table, hit F4, makes it relative again up here, hit comma. The data that we want is in column 2. Remember, 1, 2. Comma false, close it off, hit enter. Alright, so since this data is relative, and I always want to be looking, I can drag this formula down because the next one will be, B2 will become B3, B4, B5, and it will drag down automatically. So all you have to do is, once you hit this little cross, just double click, or you can drag down, and you'll notice that, so you can see that these are changing as I change rows, and the formula carries all the way down to the bottom. So now we have all these titles in here. And we're going to do this for all of these. So not just customer, but we're going to do the customer location next, which is equals VLookup. Look up 5 in the data map table of location. So I highlight this whole box, hit F4, and again it's in the second column. So we're looking up the first column, and then how many columns to the right is the data that you want to bring forward in the formula that we're trying to type in. Okay, and then you can drag this down as well. And then you can do it based on product. So you look up this, comma, go back to the data map tab, the whole table, hit F4, comma 2, comma false. And just like that, you have all the descriptions now. So technically, we could get rid of this column, this column, this column, right? So I'm going to carry over the titles. And I'm going to show you a trick, though. We have to paste values because these are formulas right now. So I want them to just be a value and not a formula, because when I delete this column, it's going to lose the reference. So I can show you this. If I were to delete this column, you'll see that in column C, all these will have errors. So see how it turns to an error. So I'm going to undo that. And the easy way to get rid of this is if you copy it, paste special, and then paste values, which is right here. So paste values. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing. So now you can see if I click the cell, it's the actual name and not the formula. So we're going to do that here as well. Paste values, Control C. This is a shortcut. You can do Control C, which copies it, and then you can hit Alt E S V. That paste values as well. So now values are pasted. So I always use that shortcut. But if you don't like the shortcut, what you can do is highlight the whole column. Hit copy. Sorry, let me do this again for you. So you can highlight, copy it, and then you can paste special values, and they should be there. Okay. So now I can get rid of this column, this column, this column, and delete those out. And I used a shortcut. I'm sorry. You can also right-click and just hit delete as well. It does the same thing. Okay, so now our data is much easier to read, and I want to show you how to run pivot tables. So highlight your whole table. So you can either do it. You can do this one of two ways. You can highlight the whole table, and you know that you have it completely highlighted, right? See, so we have all the data covered, or you can actually highlight the whole table by just hitting this top left. It doesn't matter. Do either or. So we're going to insert a pivot table. And it says select a table of range. Well, we just did that, and the range is A to F, basically the whole table and all the way down. And then it asks us, choose where you want to insert the pivot table. Well, I want to insert it in a new worksheet. You could actually put it in an existing worksheet and location. So now if I went back to here and I clicked here, so in J472, look, it appears right here, and then it would actually insert a pivot table right there, but I don't want to do that, so I just want to do a new worksheet. Okay, so it comes in as sheet 1, and this is going to look very funny for you guys if you've never done a pivot table before. And it also gives you these pivot table options, analyze and design. So if you click out of it, it goes away, so there's nothing at the top here anymore, but if you click back in the pivot table, it comes back. These are your fields, and if you remember, are column headers, so you always need a column header, FYI. That's why I copied those over. It won't let you insert a pivot table if you don't have that. But if you remember, our column headers are invoice, customer location, product, order sold, and revenue. What you do, how you make a pivot table is you'll drag these into one of these boxes. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But again, this is where the pivot table is going to go in. This is just one way to kind of combine all your data to make things really easy to analyze. Up here on the toolbar, you'll see the field list is what this is. So back in here, if I shut this out, so if I exit the pivot field, you can see like, oh my god, where'd it go? Well, you just go up here, hit analyze, hit field list, and it comes back. So don't freak out if you accidentally close out of the field list. So we already know that our data is shown by the invoice level, so I'm not going to choose invoice. Maybe I want to look at all the revenue by customer. So I'm going to take customer and throw it in the row label. As you see, there are 8 customers as well as blanks. The blanks are because I highlighted the whole spreadsheet. So if I go back and I change, I'm just going to show you, you can change your data source. So I'm going to change my data source. Sorry, let me remind you where I went. I went to Analyze, Change Data Source. And see this AF? I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to do A1 through F1 all the way down to the bottom. Hit OK. Now blank is gone. So it's just the 8 that are left, or 8 companies. And maybe I want to see all the revenue per customer. So I just take the revenue, throw it in the values, and then it automatically brings in some for us. But if you say you want to do a count of how many invoices there were, you can do, you can click here and then you can do a count. You can do an average of the customer, but so if I change it to count of revenue, there are 53 individual invoices for Brittany's Baked Goods, 68 for Darcy's Donuts, so on and so forth. And you can see that it totals to 500. Remember, we had 500 invoices, so that's good. That's another check. But I want the sum. I want to know who is our highest grossing customer. So I go back to field settings, go to sum, and oh gosh, I don't like how that's formatted, so I highlight here. I go back to home, and then to the top, and I hit the comma for accounting, get rid of my decimal places, and voila, you have all the revenue totals by customer. That easy. And I'm sure that's going to be one of your questions on your quiz, so there's one for you. So that's an easy one, but what if you want to analyze further? Okay, so maybe I want to do it by location and just location on revenue. So I get rid of the customer by dragging it up, or you can kind of click the box with a check mark or unclick it. And oh, remember that was our total revenue, so we know we have the complete, all those 500 invoices included. We talked about that earlier in the video. But like I said, maybe I just want to do it on location. And you can see here, Erie somehow is our where we're earning the most revenue. And the nice thing about this, you can, maybe you want to start with city and then look within those cities. Within those cities, who are my highest customers. So that seems complicated, right? But it's super easy because you can just drag customer underneath it, and you can see the breakdown of all the customers by city here. Or maybe you want to do it individually by customer. Maybe you want to say, let me look at Brittany's Baked Goods in all the different cities. So I just changed these. So all I did was in rows, I flip-flopped them. So now you can see in Brittany's Baked Goods, I see the breakdown by city. So the cool thing about pivot tables is you can, it's endless. You can sort this data in so many different ways. I can actually show you, let's see, I'll show you one of the ones that I did for your answers. You'll see one of the tabs. I have many pivot tables on here. So pivot tables. So these are all different pivot tables. Pretty crazy, right? So just something cool to learn, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have on how you can sort data. If you just freeze the screen on your video, it might give you other ideas of how to do some of these pivot tables. For example, let me show you a cool one here. There's a lot in this one. So if I go to Analyze, Design, Field List, you can see that I did customer location, and by product type. So a lot going on in this one, and you can see that this table goes on forever. Okay, so that is all I have to show for now. Hope you guys really enjoyed it, and let me know if you have questions.